What's going on, guys? Welcome to a new episode of Beer, Politics, and Books. I'm your host, Ryan, and today we're going to talk about what went down between the first presidential debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. So I think the favorite probably coming into this debate was definitely Hillary Clinton. I mean, she has more experience than Donald Trump does. She has 20 years of policy experience, so I think that Donald Trump had a bit of a curve going for him on this debate. First, we're going to get into the favorite, and then we're going to talk about the underdog. So let's first talk about Hillary Clinton. So overall, I would give her performance a B. I think she came in pretty well prepared for this debate. I mean, she had very well articulated answers. I think her debate team definitely anticipated probably what the questions that she was going to get asked were from Lester Holt and accusations from Donald Trump. So I think she came in with pretty good articulated responses to pretty much everything. I don't think she really stumbled or seemed for a loss of words at any point in this debate. So I think she did a really good job with that. I think another good thing that she did well was she kept her cool during most of the debate. I mean, Donald Trump was pretty much interrupting her every single time that she spoke, and she kept her cool. She didn't seem too flustered or angry, which is important, and she smiled during most of the debate. And I get it that it's sexist to expect that a woman has to smile for her to be taken seriously, but I think a lot of people ultimately ding Hillary Clinton because they perceive her as being this overly hostile individual. So I think the fact that she smiled during most of the debate, she seemed, calm and cool and collected, was pretty helpful. I think that helped her a lot during this debate, and the fact that she wasn't too overly aggressive in response to Donald Trump's aggression was a big plus. I think she had some good zingers in this debate, and that's ultimately what's pretty important in these type of presidential debates. No one's going to remember, all of the nitty-gritty details of a 2-hour debate. People are just going to sort of remember the highlight reel, and I think she actually had some pretty good zingers. I think the best zinger she had was related to the fact that she had stamina, that she had visited, some 100-odd countries, and she had negotiated trade deals, she had negotiated peace deals, and she had sat for 9 hours during a congressional hearing, so she definitely has enough stamina. I think it was a pretty good response. I think it was a pretty good zinger to Donald Trump's accusation that she doesn't have enough stamina, which was surprising because I kind of expected, Donald Trump to, sort of dominate, the one-liner game, but she actually came in strong, and I think her debate prep really helped her going into this. So I think there was two big issues with Hillary Clinton in this debate. Number one, I don't think she asked for a specific policy plan from Donald Trump on a lot of the various policy sort of discussions that went down. I mean, the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump has been fairly loose on the policy description for a lot of his plans. She did kind of go into it when she talked about the fact that Donald Trump doesn't actually have a plan for ISIS, or that Donald Trump doesn't really have an alternative for the Iran nuclear deal. But I felt like she could have pushed him a little bit harder on the fact that Donald Trump can't really articulate any plans for most of the things that he's proposing. And the other thing I think she did a really poor job on was that Donald Trump hit her with the fact that, she has been a career politician for 20 to 30 years, and all the things that she is saying that she's going to do now are all good and nice, but the fact of the matter is that she has never actually done any of the policies, and she's had enough time to do so. And I think that would have been a good opportunity for Hillary Clinton to actually talk about the policies she's endorsed in the past, policies that have helped the middle class, that have shown that she is competent when dealing with, foreign powers and stuff like that. I think she didn't really do a good enough job of explaining what has she done that shows that she has actually backed up some of her promises. I think she sort of left that question unanswered, and I think that will hurt her in the future. So moving on, I guess we'll talk about Donald Trump and how he did. Like I said, ultimately he was the underdog in this debate, so I'm giving Donald Trump a C for his performance, and that is on a curve. The reality is that if Hillary Clinton had the exact same performance that Donald Trump had, she would be getting a D or an F. But the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump has paid himself as sort of the outsider candidate that's not well-spoken, that's not very articulate. And because of that, he gets a little bit of a curve, and that's just expected. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump, even with his curve, I think did poorer than Hillary Clinton did. So like I said, I think what Donald Trump did well in this debate was that he attacked the fact that Hillary Clinton is a typical politician who speaks very well and is very articulate, but ultimately doesn't actually back up any of her promises, and she had plenty of time to do all the things that she said she was going to do, and she didn't do them. And I think he hit her with that pretty consistently. The problem with Donald Trump in this debate was that he did not attack Hillary Clinton's weak spots. And there are basically 3 weak spots that everyone knows about. There's Benghazi, there's the email scandal, and there's the fact that when she was Secretary of State, she may have been giving favors to individuals who donated to her Global Clinton Foundation. Those were like Hillary Clinton's big weak spots. And the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump didn't exploit it at all through most of this debate. The only thing he brought up was the fact that she deleted 30,000 emails when he was talking about the fact that he wasn't going to release his tax returns. Donald Trump should have been bringing this up pretty much on every debate question, especially when it came to foreign policy. I mean, the fact that he didn't bring this up when Hillary Clinton, sort of accused Donald Trump of being sympathetic to the Russian government, he should have definitely hit Hillary Clinton with the fact that supposedly she gave the Russian government, favorable uranium deals because they donated to her Global Clinton Foundation. I mean, he should have been bringing this up pretty much at every juncture when it came to foreign policy, and he didn't. And those were like her 3 weak points. Why not go through the path of least resistance on this and attack where Hillary Clinton is weakest, where she is vulnerable? Donald Trump didn't exploit Hillary Clinton's vulnerabilities as well as he should have. I think this is another issue I had with Donald Trump in this particular debate, was that he did not play enough offense. He didn't turn questions around well enough, in my opinion, to put Hillary Clinton on her heels. So I think one example of that issue coming up was, his support for the Iraq War. Lester Holt brings up this issue that Donald Trump did support the Iraq War. And I think what his response should have been at that moment was the response that his own campaign manager gave to Bill Maher when she was on his show, which was this.
I was against the Iraq War when he plainly, it's on tape, said he was not.
On the Iraq War, the timeline is very clear. Well, hold on. He was on Howard Stern's radio show as a private citizen, and Stern asked him, so, hey, should we invade Iraq? What do you think? And he said, well, I guess so. Hillary Clinton proudly went down into the well of the United States Senate and cast her vote in favor of the Iraq War.
Ultimately, I think that was a great response that she gave to Bill Maher, which was that, look, even if Donald Trump gave some tacit support on the Howard Stern show, Hillary Clinton was a senator, who voted to authorize the war in Iraq. To draw this false equivalency that somehow Donald Trump's tacit support for the Iraq War on the Howard Stern show is the equivalency of Hillary Clinton as a sitting senator voting for it is ridiculous. Donald Trump was just a businessman in New York. Are you really going to draw a false equivalency and say that both of their support of the Iraq War in 2003 are the same? They're not. And during his whole response, actually, he never mentions the fact that Hillary Clinton supported the war in Iraq, not once. The most interesting thing about it is that Kellyanne Conway, her response to Bill Maher that we just saw in that clip, at the end of the day, Kellyanne Conway is Donald Trump's campaign manager. That means that she was the person in the debate prep room for Donald Trump, prepping him with these responses. And I am sure she probably prepped him with that exact same response to the question of, did Donald Trump support the war in Iraq or not? And the fact that Donald Trump didn't really take to using the exact same response that Kellyanne Conway used with Bill Maher tells me that Donald Trump is probably not processing all of the debate prep as well as he should be. Either that or they're not spending enough time in debate prep with Donald Trump, and they need to. Because ultimately speaking, he has 2 more debates left, and he does need to do a little bit better job than he did in this debate. Like I said, he is graded on a curve ultimately. He doesn't need to do as well as Hillary Clinton, but he does need to do better than he did in this debate. As a side note, guys, there are probably going to be a lot of Trump supporters that will come out and say that this debate was biased because there were direct questions pointed at Donald Trump, whereas there was fewer questions that were directly pointed at Hillary Clinton. I counted 3 questions that were directly pointed at Donald Trump. There was a question about the fact that he questioned Hillary Clinton's stamina. There was a question about Barack Obama's birth certificate, and there was another question about Donald Trump's tax returns. And Hillary Clinton really only had one direct question, which was about the fact that she said that police officers had implicit biases. So, the reality is, though, while, yes, there were more direct questions at Donald Trump should have been able to answer these questions. These were pretty obvious questions, in my opinion, and he should have been prepped properly on these questions. And like I said before, I don't think he's taking to the debate prep as well as he should be, and I think Kellyanne Conway, his campaign manager, needs to spend more time with him. Also, I think another point related to the fact that Donald Trump got more direct questions is the fact that Lester Holt ultimately pretty much lost control of this debate pretty early on. I mean, I think he had the candidates talking over each other. They were going way over time at points. And I think the reality is that Lester Holt probably had questions that were directly pointed at Hillary Clinton, but he probably had to start skipping questions just because he did not have enough time to get through all those questions. And I'm sure, like, in sort of the befuddled confusion of, you know, skipping around in different questions, he may have just accidentally asked more questions directed at Donald Trump, whereas the questions actually written down, there probably were equal amount of questions directed at Hillary Clinton as well. So I don't know. I think that's probably the explanation of why there was more direct questions at Donald Trump. I'm sure the Trump supporters will not buy that BS at all, but, you know, that's my theory. But like I said, at the end of the day, Donald Trump should have been prepped on the questions that he did get asked that were directly pointed at him. So that's sort of my review of what I thought about the presidential debate. I think overall, Donald Trump just needs to improve a little bit better on his prep. So that's another episode of Beer, Politics, and Books. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned next time for another episode. Bye.